The great Mike Mayock. You can hear Mike Mayock every week on the Believe in Eagles podcast with Lee Mayock. Hey, Mike, how you feeling?
I'm good. I imagine it's been a couple pretty good weeks for talk radio, huh?
Well, it's a funny thing, Mike. Is like on one hand, it is compelling, right? As a human and a broadcaster, all this stuff is compelling. On the other hand, we are fans of the team, and there are moments where when this stuff happens, you just want to be happy and dissect the game, but there's all this ancillary stuff that on one hand is compelling and you want to talk about, you have to talk about. On the other hand, as a fan, you would just like it if they would shut up for 1 week so you could talk about the football team.
Well, you got the question there, big fella?
No. Wait a minute. It's not like I did it.
I'm just teasing.
Yeah, sure. Well, so let me ask you this. So they have two big wins, right? They beat the Lions and the Packers, big fella. What did you take more out of those two games? How the defense played or how the offense played?
The defense played their asses off, and Vic's got this thing turned in the right way. Jaylen Phillips, if you just isolate 4 or 5 clips from last week, maybe the biggest play in the game on defense in 4th and goal from the 4, and what he did to Penei Sewell, probably the best tackle in football. It's if you haven't seen it, it's a great clip. And it puts together everything that he has. That he's long, he's strong, he's powerful, he's twitchy, but he can bend to the quarterback. It was watching them play defense. I feel like Phillips is the big the big piece they were missing. And I think Vic Fangio knows what to do now with the bottom line offensively. And I got frustrated last week after the Green Bay game because I felt like coming off New York and Minnesota and a bye week, they would continue with their offensive momentum. And I felt like they took a step back. This week, I was also highly frustrated by the offense.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on that defense side a little bit, Mike, because I think the emergence of Jaylen Carter over the last couple of weeks, man, he seems, we didn't get a whole lot from him the first month or so of the season. I don't know if he was trying to get in shape. That shoulder, Vic had talked about his conditioning, but over the last 2 or 3 weeks, his presence has certainly been felt. And I'm wondering how much of having Jaylen Phillips on that offensive line drawing attention is now also helping Jaylen Carter do what he's doing in the inside.
I think it's one of those symbiotic things. I mean, on the sack that Jaylen Phillips got, he actually had the wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, right on his outside shoulder and thought he was going to get chipped. Mm-hmm. So he kind of took a step towards him and shrugged him off. The right tackle, Penei Sewell, assumed he wasn't coming and double-teamed down on Jaylen Carter, gave him a big hit. And that gave Jaylen Phillips a free run at the quarterback. Nobody touched him. Yeah. And I think my point is it's going to happen for both of them throughout the season. Jaylen Carter played 90% of the snaps again. To your point, he was working through a bunch of stuff early. There's a noticeable difference in the tape, and it's both consistency. The numbers are going to be whatever the numbers are, but he's a superior player. His club move is as good as anybody I've seen since maybe Reggie White. It's just that powerful. And the two of them on the same side together is an awful lot for an offense to deal with.
We often judge cornerbacks with interceptions as a fan. Like that to the naked eye, that's how we look at them. Sometimes batted balls and things of that nature. But sometimes Quinyon Mitchell's play can sort of go unnoticed. It certainly seemed like it isn't going unnoticed. How good is Quinyon Mitchell right now? Is he right there with Patrick Surtain as the top corners in the league?
Yeah, I think he's in the top 3, and you can kind of have a conversation about 3 or 4 different guys, but he's in that conversation. He's in year 2. I don't see a real major issue in his game. I mean, some of those, quote, cover corners don't want to tackle. He knows when he has to. Doesn't mean he's going to be the most physical guy every snap, but when he has to make a tackle, he makes it. Yeah. And as long as he continues, the consistency in the run game, as far as the pass game, what I love about him is he can play press, he can play off, he can play man, he can play zone. Some guys are better at one than the other, but the Eagles happen to get a guy that I think does everything at a high level.
I don't have any questions. I just deal with the controversy. I don't know if you want to ask about the offense or why Mike was frustrated watching them. I don't know.
Go ahead, Spike.
Why? Well,
go ahead.
You mentioned you were frustrated watching the offense. Why were you what specifically frustrated you?
Well, I mean, to your credit, Spike, we're about 6 minutes into this, and you haven't even asked me about number 11. So I'm pretty impressed there.
Well, okay, Mike, what do you want me to do? Right? No. I'm being serious here, right? So A.J. Brown spends weeks complaining about the passing offense. Then two, I think, reporters that we all have respect for, Diana Rossini and A.J. Brown and Derek Gunn, report that there's frustration from multiple players within the organization and coaches about how the quarterback is playing. So I guess my question to you is, if you were me, would you find that to be interesting? Would you find that to be something that you would want to talk about, or no?
Well, here's the way I'm going to deal with that.
Yep.
Okay, because I can't vouch for being you.
Sure.
Here's how I'm going to look at this. Something's off, and it feels like something's off. I'm not in the building, and I hate anonymous sources, maybe more than just about anything in sports. And that's what we have. And I like D Gunn. I worked with him years ago. He's a good dude and a respected dude. But at a certain point, this whole anonymous thing is hard to deal with, and that's why I like what Brandon Graham said the other day. And that's another reason it's good that he's back in that locker room. And he basically went through that whole heavy as the crown thing. And what I think he was trying to say publicly so that every teammate heard it was, fellas, this is about individual accountability and getting back to a Super Bowl and trying to win another one. That's what this is all about. And I love that because that's what it is all about. So what basically I'm going to do this week is I'm going to give you an overview by position of what the Eagles did on tape last week. And I think you'll see a tie-in to what's going on. And then we can go wherever you want, okay? And I'm going to be very honest on this tape evaluation, okay?
Yep.
So quarterback position. Inconsistent ball placement in the first half. He missed Barkley on a double move versus a linebacker in the second half that should have been a touchdown. Inconsistent performance throughout. Wideouts. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. A.J., between the two of them, they created little to no separation all night long versus cover one, man-to-man, two corners with no help. A.J. Brown had a goal line slant, 3rd and 8 on the 8-yard line in the first half, could not win versus press. Jaylen complicated it by a bad throw. Several fades all night long, 0 separation. He even stopped running on one of them, which I don't even want to talk about. Number 6, Devontae Smith, 1 reception, 8 yards, 5 targets. Little to no separation all night long. Detroit's corners, can anybody tell me who Detroit corners are?
At this point, no.
Yeah.
Okay. So Amik Robertson, who we drafted with the Raiders in the 4th round, and he's 5'8.5", and Rock Yassin, who played at Temple. Both of them are quick, sticky, tough kids, but will never be in a Pro Bowl. Okay? They handled the Eagles' Pro Bowl receivers last weekend with little to no help. Little to no separation. Neither wideout could win all night long. Offensive line. Despite injuries, I thought the pass pro was more consistent. Maybe has something to do with the play action and the 6 offensive linemen. 1 sack for the most part. I thought the quarterback had a clean pocket. Run game, it just seems like there's 1 or 2 guys per play where you just say, man, if he could have just covered him for a little bit longer. They got the tailback to the second level several times. They're getting close on big plays, but they got to start hitting big plays in the run game. Tight ends, 2 drops. Below average blocking game. It's hard to be a tight end and block in the NFL. And the Eagles ask a lot of their tight ends in 12 and 13 personnel. But still, If you want to dig out some of these backers and people, you got to have better play from the tight end. And finally, Coach Sirianni, 4th and 1, minus 29-yard line with 3 minutes left in the game, up 10.
That was crazy.
I mean, I think I figured out now that basically if Nick can close out a game with his offense on the field, he's going to do it. But I think for the good of the team, he's got to just kind of reconsider some of his thought process. Up 10 at that point, that's a punt 100% of the time. 9 penalties, way too many. So that's my overview. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I love what Brandon Graham said, and I think all these people playing all these positions have to take their own accountability before they start shooting their mouth off inside or outside the building.
Yep. Is the wide receivers not being able to beat those guys one-on-one an effort issue?
There was really only the one snap where I felt like there was an effort issue. And those things are hard. You know, that one snap I already mentioned on the fade. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, I mean, I drafted Amik, and Amik is a quick, tough kid, but he got in both of them. He wasn't afraid. He challenged both of them at the line of scrimmage, as did Rock Yassin. So both of them were challenged both on and off the line of scrimmage, and neither of them can create separation. And all I'm saying is I can't tell you why, but it's got to get better than that.
Well, they certainly have an opportunity on Sunday because the Dallas defense hasn't done a very good job of stopping anybody this year. We keep waiting for we hope, what's it called, like a get-right game. You would hope against a team like that would probably put up more points than the 7 and 9 that they faced over the last couple of weeks, that they're going to have to score more points on Sunday than they scored in those two games.
You're talking about Dallas?
Yes.
Offense?
Yep.
I mean, they're going to get challenged with an interior run game with a center and 2 guards. They're big and powerful, so it'll be fun to watch against the Eagles' defensive tackles and linebackers. Javonte Williams is having his best season since he was a rookie. Looks like he did. He's over all those injuries. And then you got to deal with the 2 big-time wideouts who, again, had a huge night last week and caused problems on a weekly basis. And I think the other thing, Spike, is defensively, as bad as they've been all year, the Eagles didn't go crazy on them week 1. And in the last 10 days, they've gotten healthy, they've made trades, and they've gotten better on all 3 levels. So they're going to be a better defense than the one they saw the first time around.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mike.
Yeah, I expect this game to be a tight one Sunday. I do.
Hey, Ike,
Yes.
What did you think of the tape overview? Did you agree or disagree?
Oh, I agree with everything. Listen, we've talked about several of those things this week. I think it's better when someone like yourself with the credibility has that to share with us, so it's not just us. But yeah, I agree with all that, Mike. I thought the receivers weren't necessarily great. Jaylen, up and down. Offensive line, we're not doing a great job in the run blocking game. Yeah, in the tight ends. Hey, let me ask you this, Mike, because I saw someone brought this up. that Graham Calcaterra was out there for 35 snaps, and I think on 33 of those snaps, it was a run play. Like, he's not a good run-blocking tight end. Why are the Eagles using him in heavy run formations?
I think they've realized that with the banged-up offensive line, they want to be stubborn about trying to run the ball.
Yeah.
And to be able to do that, Latu is getting some run, both as a fullback and as a kind of a tight end wing. I think they're trying not to beat up Dallas Goedert inside as a blocker.
Okay.
So that gives Granson and Calcaterra the majority. The 81 and 83 are getting the majority of the heavy work inside in the run game.
Yeah. I mean, even all the way down to the Nick Sirianni going for it on 4th down. Come on, man. You can't. That's up 2 scores and defense playing the way that you're playing. That's one of those where that could have cost us. I mean, that certainly could have cost us.
Well, you got a lucky DPI at the end of the game.
Yep.
And other than that, they're going to get the ball back. So anyway, it's you want to win a Super Bowl. There's some things that have to happen, and I think the offense has to you can't just sit here and say defense is going to be the Steelers from the 70s or the Bears from 1985. It's just the offense has got to do their part too.
Yep.
All right, Mike. We will talk to you next week, same time. Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yep.